who became doubtful. I in Arjuna became doubtful. And the same I became illumined, became strong, took back the weapons and fought for 18 days. If you ask Arjuna, who was aggrieved? I was aggrieved. Who got stability? I got stability. Who said, I will not fight? I. And who fought? I. So the I part doesn't change at all. Ahamiti. Even when misery is there, the misery has to be experienced. Unless you are there to survive, to experience the misery, how can misery be felt? So in feeling the misery, in feeling the happiness, the presence of the I is very clear, evidenced. Sadahamahamiti ekatmata sakshinaha. Ekatmata. It remains singularly uniform. That singularity of the I, the self, is never questioned. It is never doubted by anybody. Sakshinaha. It only remains as a witness. When I woke up, it was a witness to the waking state. It was a witness to my childhood, witness to my adolescence, witness to my youth. Everything is witnessed. Bodily state, mental state, intellectual state. That wonderful I is there. About this I, Shankara has something more to say in Viveka Chudamani. Nirasta raga vinirasta bhoga shanta sudanta yatayo mahanta vijñāya tattvam parametadante praptah param nirvriti mahatma yogad. You know, there is so much of emphasis on this aham, I. This I is something to be sought, to be chased, to be pursued, to be contemplated upon, to be realized. And then you can express the joy and the immortality that spring from it. Nirastaraga. He speaks about how and when this realization of the I takes place, and for whom and by whom. Nirastaragaha. All the desires should be completely abandoned, wiped off. Vinirasta bhoga. No dependence on sensory enjoyments and delights. Shanta. Always reveling in desire freedom. Shanta. Sudanta. With senses sufficiently under control. Yatayo mahantaha. Keeping a magnificent and a high aim before them. They constantly strive for this inner freedom, ecstasy and fulfillment. Vijñāya tattvam parametadante. At the end of a long sadhana, they realize this truth. They understand the supreme truth. It is actually a tattva. It is a recognition. It is a cognition. It is an experience. It is a comprehension. They come to realize it. Praptah param nirvritim atma yogad. They attain supreme quietude and beatitude within themselves. Atma yogad. What is the practice they resort to it? Atma yoga. Atma yoga. They close their eyes, contemplate upon their own mind, their own intelligence, the manner in which they are working now, the contradictions and the dissatisfactions they bring about as a result. They grow dispassion towards the whole thing. And with the dispassion, they contemplate upon again. Ultimately, the mind yields, the intelligence also. They are able to remain still, absorbed into their own inmost essence, the self. This is what happens. Praptah param nirvritim atma yogad. This is called Atmanishtha. Here, Pipalayana is speaking about Brahmanishtha. What is that Brahmanishtha? When you understand that the whole universe is springing and emerging from your own mind, you understand the greatness of your mind, the status of your mind. Possessing such a mind, why is it that you are running after the shadows called the world? Vishuddha sattvasya gunah prasadaha swatma anubhutihi parama prashantihi triptihi praharshaha paramatmanistha yaya sadanandarasam samrchati vishuddha sattvasya gunah prasadaha swatma anubhutihi parama prashantihi. I am reciting these verses, my dear viewers, and explaining them to you only to make you understand that it is not a reading narration, a reading and a fast explanation of the verses that I intend to provide. I want every one of you to absorb this message, to pursue it in your own life. You should understand that there is a great spiritual treasure concealed in your body that is closer to you than your mind and intelligence. Never miss it. By the very fact that you are a human, you have the merit as well as the deservingness to practice this, to perfect this. After all, what is this? It's a practice by your mind, in your mind, by your intelligence, in your intelligence. To reach where? To reach your own inmost self. How much is the distance? It is a zero distance. Zero distance. Vishuddha sattvasya gunah prasadaha. Many years back, there was one intelligent listener, Ramanathan by name in Alway. He was asking me, Swamiji, is it ever possible to realize the self and have the full joy? Then I said, listen to what Shankara says. Vishuddha sattvasya, when your body, the biological body, then the psycho-intellectual personality consisting of the mind, intelligence and ego, both of them are purified, made pure. How will you make the body pure? By taking sattvic food, by having fresh air, as much pure water as possible. These are the ingredients of the body. And what about your mind? Having the best and the most noble inputs through the senses. Have good thoughts, noble thoughts, permeating thoughts, benevolent thoughts, kind and considerate thoughts. So far as intelligence is concerned, make it a point to read some spiritual text. Read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. Without that, you should not go to sleep. One is the minimum. You should read at least 2 chapters. At the same time, you should also try to understand 1 or 2 verses, word by word, meaning by meaning, and the message contained in. How the Gita verses relate to your own mind, your own personality, your own daily life. For any problem that you may encounter in your life, Bhagavad Gita has got one answer. Definitely an answer. There is nothing in the life which is not involved or intertwined with Bhagavad Gita's messages. Vishuddha sattvasya gunah prasadaha. When the whole being is purified, Shankara speaks about Mishra Sattva and Vishuddha Sattva. Vishuddha Sattva is the highest level of purity. Gunah. Such a person automatically has a number of qualities, a number of characteristics. What are they? Prasadaha. A cheerful disposition. Whenever you look at him, you will find he is very cheerful. Whatever comes and goes. Contentment is a property of the mind. Joy is an emotion. And this emotion, joy, cannot be produced by any material factor outside. Neither matter nor energy is emotional. So they cannot produce joy. Mind alone can produce it. And where is the mind? Inside your body. Keeping the mind within you, why are you not joyous? It is your foolishness. It is your delusion. It's a pitiable plight that you are suffering from. As long as you have the mind, why should you cry or crave for joy? Create it, generate it, produce it in any measure that you want, and you don't find anything else. That is why we teach the children to chant the name of God. God is actually all beauty, all goodness, all ecstasy, all splendor, all delight. When you start chanting the name of God, you will automatically be delightful. When you go near fire, you feel the heat, you feel the brilliance. So when you chant the name of God, you are at least bringing God to your mouth. And what is God? Satchidananda Swarupa. automatically you will also become Satchidananda. Are you doubting what I say? Why don't you try? Spend half an hour and see what happens. You don't require anybody's help at all. Chant the name of God. Go on chanting. Hare Rama Govinda Krishna Murare. Hare Rama Govinda Krishna Murare. See what is happening. Let the whole body, mouth, everything be involved in it. Guna prasadaha swatmanubhutihi. What does it mean? When the whole being becomes pure, you start feeling cheerfulness, contentment and joy. And equally so, swatmanubhutihi. Something other than the body. A radiance, a permeation. Something you will start feeling. After all, your body is hot. It is generated from within. A dead body will not be hot. A living body alone will be hot. So the heat in the body is generated by the life. It is the same life that generates happiness also. So when the body and the mind become pure, automatically you will find a divine transparence overtakes them. Am I clear? Are you understanding me? A kind of a spiritual and divine transparence, a kind of a pulsation, a kind of a radiation will be palpably felt by you. Parama prashantihi. You will feel a quietness, a quietude. Parama, of a supreme nature. It is not like a child wanting a plaything and you buy it, so the child is happy. Or the lady of the house wants a special type of sari, you buy it and she is happy. It's not that. Parama prashantihi. You get a contentment, a composure, a satisfaction, which comes to you ultimately from realizing the truth of life. Triptihi, contentment. Praharshaha, exhilaration. Paramatmanistha. Then you give yourself to Paramatmanistha. What did Nimi Chakravarti enquire? Tell me about Brahmanistha and Paramatmanistha. Narayananistha. Vasudeva Sarvamidhi. When are you going to have a stage where the whole universe is Lord Vasudeva alone, nothing else, alone? Now we are thinking of Vasudeva in an idol, in a picture or in an image. Whatever you see, wherever you go, everything becomes Vasudeva. That wonderful Nishtha, Paramatma Nishtha, Yaya Sadananda Rasam Samrchadi, by virtue of which Sada, always, Ananda Rasam, Ananda in the form of a taste and a delicacy, Richadi, you attain. You know, this is what will happen to a spiritual personality. What is the spiritual personality? Your own personality, when it is surcharged by spiritual thoughts, spiritual vibrations, spiritual associations, spiritual contemplations, spiritual search and spiritual finding. Vishuddha sattvasya guna prasadaha swatma anubhuti parama prashanti tripti praharshaha paramatmanistha sadayaya sadanandarasam samrchadi. I will explain to you a little more, otherwise you will not understand what is the self-realization. I am sure that most of you, if not all of you, are riveted to a delusion. What is that? The spirituality that we hear is only meant for ascetics. Ascetics. When we have lived our life in this world and have become useless to the house, then only I should think of spirituality and meditation. This is the way you think. My dear souls, it is not so. The earlier you become spiritual, the better blessed you will be, your family will be, your successors will be. Rama got spiritual attainment when he was 16 years old. Arjuna got it in the middle of the battlefield, at the middle of his age. Krishna must have had it still earlier. So the earlier, the better. The earlier, the better. The earlier, the better. The later, the worse. But it is better to be late than never. There is also a proverb. See what he says. Kastam paranandarasanubhutim usrijya shunyeshu rameta vidwan chandre mahahladini dipyamane chitrendu malokayidum kaiched. If you are able to have a glimpse of the self, a glimpse of the supreme reality, as this Swamiji is speaking, as he is speaking now, some of you may have glimpses of it. It is quite possible. When I started the telecast Mukti-skandham in the month of March last year 2010, just after the first telecast, our director was called by a very good listener, a little old listener, and he said, for the first time in my life, I was listening to Mukti-skandham, my eyes closed, and I went into a meditative, contemplative mood of absorption. I was feeling very, very blissful, he said. So if you can listen to what I say in an absorbing manner, you will find every word that I utter, it is sound only up to the eardrum. Beyond the eardrum, it is not a sound. It trickles down in the form of a spiritual vibration or a pulsation. And every word that sinks into your mind is adding spiritual purity, spiritual sublimity, spiritual refinement, elevation and expansion. This is what will happen. This is how the whole process works. Our mind can be bad. The same mind can be good. Our mind can be worldly. The same mind can be spiritual also. As it is outgoing now, it can also be ingoing. There is no difference in the mind. Only in the way it works there is a difference. Kastam paranandarasanubhutim usrijya shunyeshu rameta vidwan. Vidwan, a knowledgeable man. Once he comes to know, this is the truth. Which is the truth? The one source that is responsible for the creation, preservation and dissolution of the whole universe. That one source itself is responsible for wakefulness, sleep and dream in you. Is it not very revealing? And it is the same source that activates your body, mind and intelligence. You are carrying this in your personality by the glory of your human birth. You are already born a human. So this great unstunning glory is there. And you are glorious. Kastam paranandarasanubhutim. If you are able to enjoy this inner bliss, some experience you are able to have, then who in this world, a wise man, a knowledgeable man, a discreet man, will there be anybody who will leave this? Leave this for what? Shunyeshu rameda. In this useless, perishable, useless things, to delight in them like a dog biting a bone. Licking a bone. That it goes on licking a bone. After some time the tongue will be cut because of the thorny nature of the bone. And the tongue will start bleeding. So blood will be there. That dog misunderstands that the blood is from the bone and will start licking more and more. This is what we are doing. This is shunya. This is absolutely useless, perishable. And you have the imperishable within you, the I. Leaving that, you are going there. Leaving here, you are going there. Having Kaustubha, the most precious jewel in hand, you are going other glass pieces glowing after. Utsrijya shunyeshu rameta vidwan chandre mahahladini deepyamane. On the full moon day, the moon is shining beautifully and gloriously in the sky. Very clear sky. How beautiful is that? Instead of looking at that moon, you are going there and looking at a painted moon. The painter has painted it after seeing the full moon. And you don't want this. Chandre mahahladini deepyamane chitrendum alogaidum kaichet. Will there be anybody who decides to look at a painted moon when the full moon is available on the sky? Na khidyate no vishayaih pramodate na sajjate na abhivirajyate cha swasmin sada kridadi nandadi swayam nirantara ananda rasena truptaha na khidyate no vishayaih pramodate. A man having realized this self, how will he live and move in this world? Shankara explains it. You know, Shankara's explanation, they are so fiery, so inspiring, so wholesome, so vibrant, alive. And every word is a beckoning for all. Na khidyate, no vishayai pramodate. He will be never afflicted by, tormented by, or delighted by anything in this world, vishayaihi, by any object of the senses. He will be living in the same world, moving with the same people, amidst the same people. He doesn't have a different earth for building his cottage, the ascetic. So he also goes to the same market. See, Narayanashramata Bhavanam, our devotees and visitors come here. We have to host them. We have a number of buildings here. This morning for the Pushpa Samarpanam program here, we were about 25 or 30 people. There are occasions when the number is more, the number is less. Many people will come here unannounced. Of course, mostly it is uninvited. They can come, and ashram is a free place for any seeker to come. So we are a very big household. You think that we are an ascetic abode. Though we are an ascetic abode, no doubt, people who come here are householders. So we have to welcome everybody. In your house, few people will come. Here, many will come. And we have to go to the same Trichur market where others go, buy the same vegetables, buy the same milk which is delivered to the others. So don't think that there is any change outwardly. Na khidyate, no vishayai pramodate. While interacting with all these things, sensory objects, the knower of truth will never be afflicted or adversely affected. Pramodate, he will not be unduly delighting also. Na sajjate, na abhivirajyate cha. He will never be delusionally clinging to anything, or he will not be deludedly avoiding anything also. Swasmin sada kridadi nandadi swayam. Swasmin sada kridadi nandadi swayam. Why is he so? Because his anchor, his focus, his locus is inside. Inside. In the inside, where? From where all your thoughts are emerging. From where all the understanding and doubts are arising. No. From where wakefulness arises, where you sink into sleep, from where the dream expanse arises.